चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय श्रीमते आमिन्निथियामिनि नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिकांत राधा कांत नमस्ते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome to the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu Southern Division. In the second division, we are discussing the second wave, the Dvitiya Lahari, which is Anubhav. So in the last three classes, we had the overview of Vibhav, which is in 25 classes. We just discussed in 3 classes. And we also went into a little detail of the concept of rasa and how when there is a prominent rasa, the sthahi bhav, that combines with the samagri bhav, vibhav, anubhav, satviki bhav, and sanchari bhav, and gives rise to rasa. And what is the Vishayalaman? What is the Ashayalaman? Within the Vishayalaman, there is a Anyarup and Swarup, Prakat and Avrit. And we saw the 64 qualities in Krishna. And then in the Ashray, there is a Bhakta, there is a Sadhaka Bhakta and the Siddha. And in the Siddha, there is a, Siddha, Nitya Siddha and the Kripa Siddha. So like that we saw, and then we saw the Uddipan. So today, we will begin actually the discussion on Vibhav. It's a very, very important discussion. And we are going to go verse by verse in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and try to understand this Vibhav. Of course, I'll not go through this norms for the so southern section defining the components of rasa concerning Vibhav in the southern section of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So within this, we are going to see the definition of Anubhav. And what are the Anubhavs? There are 2 categories: Sita, singing, yawning, breathing heavily, disregard, drooling, smiling. Then Shepana, dancing, rolling on the ground, shouting, stretching the body, bellowing, laughing loudly, whirling about, hiccups. And it's not illustrated in the order. Now, before we go into the actual discussion of Anubhav from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, I thought it is wise that we will go into Jaiva Dharma where Bhaktivinoda Thakur in chapter 27 discusses the further considerations of Rasa Tattva. If you remember, when we started our discussion on Vibhav, that time also we went into the Jaiva Dharma discussion on the concept of Vibhav, the discussion on Vibhav there also. So similarly for Anubhav also, we will first go through Jaiva Dharma and then begin Rupa Goswami's discussion on verse to verse. Now, as I had mentioned, Jaiva Dharma is a novel in the form of conversation. There are these characters, and gradually their philosophical discussions go deeper and deeper from Navdeep, and they are directed to further now enter into Raganuga Bhakti and enter into Rasa Tattva. The instructing the Guru, Premdas Babaji Maharaj in Navdeep, directs these two disciples, Vijay Kumar and I don't remember, Vajranab, I think Vajranath or something, to go to Jagannath Puri and take shelter of Gopal Guru Goswami and further understand Rasa Tattva. So actually from chapter 25 to chapters 40 is all Rasa Tattva. 15 chapters discussion on Rasa Tattva in the Jaiva Dharma. So this is chapter 27, further consideration of Rasa Tattva. The next day, the two sadhakas, I mentioned these two sadhakas, having attended the noon arti and honoring the Mahaprasad of Jagannath temple, arrived at the Radha Kanta temple thirsty for knowledge of rasa. So they had come for the knowledge of rasa because they have previously heard about Vibhav, and Vibhav discussion is in the previous chapter. So this Radha Kanta temple is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is to say in the Gambhira, that is, and that is also that this is a temple of Gopal Guru Goswami. Yes, Vijay Kumar and Vajranath. As Vijay Kumar and Vajranath were well versed in the scriptures, sincere Vaishnavas and residents of the holy Dham of Navdeep. So the inhabitants of the Radhakan temple ashram held them in high esteem and received them very respectfully whenever they visited. Shri Gopal Guru Goswami had finished prasadam and was ready for his meeting with Vijay Kumar and Vajranath. He presented a marvelous appearance, attired in a clean, fresh robes of a renunciate, while glowing Urva Pundra Tilak applied upon his prominent forehead and Harinam written with Tilak all over his body conspicuously. So this is the Guru, that is Gopal Guru Goswami. 4 strands of thick, dark tulsi neck beads were coiled around his neck, and his right hand was inside a little bag holding his chanting beads, and his eyes were half closed in deep meditation whilst relishing Krishna Nam. From time to time, purely teardrops would stream down from his eyes, moistening his chest. At intervals, he would cry out in the anguish of separation, "O Gauranga, O Nityananda." Then his ample, softly glowing darkish frame would become quiet again. He sat on a straw mat, his wooden leg clogs lay at a distance, and his water pot stood within his reach. So it's so important to sit. Meditation, dhyan means you have to sit on a straw mat. So we should sit in an asana and chant. His disciple Dhyan Chandra sat nearby writing down the procedures of deity worship as given by his guru. Now, I'll not go into the details of this because it's a vast topic, but uh, just briefly I'm going to touch. Mahaprabhu came to give this highest rasa, Unnata Ujjvala rasa, the bhakti ras of Vraj Bhakti, especially the Madhurya ras. And he handed over to his disciple, that is Sarup Damodar. Sarup Damodar gave it to 2 of the prominent disciples. One is Raghunath Das Goswami and one is Vakreshwar Pandit. And Vakreshwar Pandit further instructed to Gopal Guru Goswami, and Gopal Guru Goswami's disciple is Dhyan Chandra Goswami. And this is called as the Bhayapant of the Ragamag. Bhayapant means the Antarapanta, the internal path, was given to Raghunath Das Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami mentions in his Manashiksha how to enter into Raga Bhakti. And all the instructions, this is called as the exoteric and the esoteric path. The exoteric is the external path, the esoteric is the internal path. The problem with the exoteric means the external path, the Bhaya Pantha, is through meditation and various chanting the mantras related to the deities, one develops a deep relation with the deity and enters into Raganuga Bhajan. But this can be imitated. Whereas the internal path of given to Raghunath Das Goswami, where the internal anarth nivritti has to happen, and that cannot be imitated. And that's why Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur followed that path, and Prabhupada uh, followed the teachings of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and that's how we are getting this path of the esoteric path. So Dhyan Chandra Goswami was his disciple, and he was, I told you there are procedures of deity worship where, we call by various, there is the Archana Paddhati he has written, and that path is of Raga Bhakti, but it can be imitated without having the internal purification. But Raghunath Das Goswami's path, which is the esoteric path, it cannot be imitated. It needs the internal purification of the heart. When Vijay Kumar and Vajranath entered the room, they offered prostrated obeisances in front of Srila Goswami, that is Gopal Guru Goswami, who affectionately hugged them and made them sit down comfortably. As Srila Goswami began, they listened attentively to his words, the subject of discussion being Rasa Tattva. So most important is, we should hear attentively. Very, very important. Yesterday we spoke about Vibhav. Today we will cover three other Samagri Bhavs: Anubhav, subsequent ecstasy; Satviki Bhav, constitutional ecstasy; and Vyabhichari Bhav, aggressive ecstasy. So we can see Prabhupada used these similar terms in his Nectar of Devotion. Anubhav, he says subsequent ecstasy. Satviki Bhav, he says constitutional ecstasy. And Vyabhichari Bhav is aggressive or transient emotion, he says. We have already defined Vibhav as the root cause which ignites Rati. So Vibhav is the root cause. There has to be, the alamban of Ashray and Vishay, the object of Rati and the abode of Rati. The object of Rati is the Vishay, Alamban, Krishna, and the abode is the Ashray, that is the devotee. So without this, Vibhav, Vibhav is what, ignites Rati or ignites the Stahi Bhav, loving attachment for the beloved within the heart of the lover. The lover is the devotee, beloved is the Lord. Rati churns up the bhava that is latent in the chitta, heart and consciousness of the sadhaka. The various emotions that manifest externally in response to this awakened bhava are called anubhava. So here is the definition of what is anubhava. So when this bhava is there in the heart, love is the heart of Mother Yashoda, and she is Krishna, and there are emotions which are there in the heart. They are latent, but they are churned up because of the Vishaya Alamban and the Udipans connected to the Vishaya, and there is an external response to this awakened bhava. There's an external response to the awakened bhava, and we discussed in our last class, if you remember, Mother Yashoda opening her arms to embrace Krishna. So this is an external response to the emotion which is there internally. So are called amanubhava. So this is called as anubhava. Although the anubhavas, when externally expressed, seem to have a similarity to vikar, the physical transformation caused by loving ecstasy. Now, what is this, vikar, the physical transformation caused by loving ecstasy? Although the anubhavas, which externally expressed, seem to have a similarity to the vikar, the physical transformations caused by loving ecstasy. What does this statement mean? Anyone? Let us see. Ashokatma Prabhuji, yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I could realize that, Lord Jagannath. So the form of the Lord is changed because
I
of
need
the
the answer for this.
ecstasy.
No, I need the answer for this statement. That's it. What is
Okay.
this?
Okay, the feelings that we express.
No. You're not getting the point. Although the anubhavas, when externally expressed, seem to have a similarity to vikar. Vikar is what? The physical
The
transformations caused by loving ecstasy. So what is
Yes.
that? Vikars, physical transformations caused by loving ecstasy. What is
So
it called? What is the term called? That is my question.
yeah, Prabhu, what I understood is that, when we are in the full absorption of, whether
No.
in ecstasy,
You're not,
probably we may express our, feelings
no,
based on the anubhavas.
you're not getting our point. Okay, let's, yes, Subha Ikshna Krishna Prabhuji.
Prabhu, is it Vibhav we are referring to?
Kripalu Gaur Sundar Prabhuji. Yes,
Is Ratyabhas, Prabhu?
Ratyabhas. Okay, Maya Narasimha Prabhuji. I can understand, because the devotees are very new to this subject. So I fully appreciate all your inputs. And,
Bhavavesh.
huh?
Bhavavesh.
Bhavavesh, no, okay. Let's give chance to Maya Narasimha Prabhuji. Yes.
Prabhuji, first is Vibhav, then Anubhav, then it is Satviki Bhav, which is followed by Anubhav.
No. Okay. Please hear this statement and little contemplate. Although the anubhavas, when externally expressed, seem to have a similarity to vikar. Seem to have similarity to vikar. Vikar means transformations. Transformation caused by loving ecstasy. Among the samagri bhavs, vibhav, anubhav, vyabhichari bhav, stahi bhav, satviki bhav. What are which is the bhava which is being discussed here? Yes, Kripalu Gaur Sundar Prabhuji.
Satviki Bhav.
Yes, it is Satviki Bhav. Satviki Bhav are the physical transformations caused due to ecstasy, vikar. The hint was very clearly given. So what is
Ashta
the
Satvik
statement?
Vikar. We
Ashta
generally say this
Satvik.
Ashta Satvik Vikar.
Yes, Ashta Satvik Vikar. So what you have to understand what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. The Vibhavs, are, seem to be very similar to Satviki Bhavs. Because Vibhavas are also expressions, external expressions of love. And Satviki Bhava also expressions of love, which are physical transformations. They seem to be very similar. I hope you're getting the point what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making. In truth, they are internal emotions in response to a bhav within the heart of the sadhaka. They are externally, I was mentioning this, what is the difference between Anubhav and Satviki Bhav? Anubhav is the emotions are voluntarily expressed. You voluntarily express by opening your arms. Whereas Satviki Bhavs are involuntary. They are also transformations, vikars. Anubhav is also transformation. The hand, uh, uh, opening up to embrace, this is a transformation of the hand, because of the chitta transformation, the chitta transformation because of the vibhav. But this is voluntary, whereas the Ashta Satvik, because I was telling Mother Yashoda doesn't say hair stand on end. No, they are involuntary. The Ashta Satvik parts are involuntary, whereas the Anubhavas are voluntary. So there is subtle difference between similarity. It seems like in truth, they are internal emotions in response to a bhava within the heart of the sadhaka. So they are internal. Anubhavas are internal emotions in response to the bhava within the heart. Mother Yashoda's internal emotion, she embraces Krishna, you know. So that is the internal emotion. Now, further, Nritya, dancing, Viluntata, rolling on the ground, Kroshana, lamenting loudly, Tanu Motana, stretching and yawning, Hunkara, making loud roaring sound, Jimbana, yawning, Dheergaswas, releasing signs, Lokapekshita, being neglectful of people's reactions, Lala Shav, salivation, that is saliva coming, Attahasa, raucously laughing, Grunha, swooning, and hiccuping are Anubhava external symptoms indicating the presence of Bhav. Okay, Maya Narsim Prabhuji, you have a question?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji. I was telling that it is Satviki Bhav only. But the point is that you mentioned in our previous classes that Satviki Bhav is involuntary thing which happens to oneself when one comes in touch with Vibhav and Anubhav. But then there is a little confusion with Sanchari Bhav or Vyabhichari Bhav. So it is not mandatory that Sanchari or Vyabhichari Bhav also must be present. So
Yes.
if they are present, then what is the thin line which separates both of them? Because that is also involuntary response, even Sanchari Bhav or Vyabhichari Bhav.
No,
Can
no,
you
no,
tell?
no. No, no. When we go to Sanchari Bhav, we will go into detail about it. We have not gone, we have now in Anubhav. I've just given a brief understanding. Sanchari Bhav is again with relation to, you know, the object of love. But that love goes to a height, goes to a peak because of some situations. And these situations, like I gave the example of Mother Yashoda, Krishna in the coils of Kalia. Her Vatsalya bhav towards Krishna goes to an height. It goes to an height. So she might express the anubhavas of, when Krishna is coming from the forest, she's just opening her arms happily. But her anubhavas during Kalya Leela is, she's raising her arms and she's about to faint. So all those anubhavas are also going to an height. So these are transient emotions which rise high in the ocean of Bhakti Rasa and they come down and they embellish the Stahi Bhav. So that is the difference. But more when we go to, the Vyabhichari Bhav, you will get further clarity. But I hope for now it is okay.
Yes, Prabhu. So you are saying that they need not happen every time. They will happen in certain.
No.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
In fact, there can be only Vibhav also in one sense.
Yeah.
You can just have, two items, two ingredients and make a preparation which can be relishable. Rasa is there in that, right? But two
Yes.
have to be there. Vishaya and Ashraya has to be there first.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
But generally, these all follow, with, it's a deep internal science of the whole science of emotions, how they internally work. And now we are trying to understand, to philosophical definitions, which are very difficult for us. But Rupa Goswami, see the geniusness, every emotion, what you are experiencing in the heart, he is giving philosophical definition. That's why study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is very important.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay, so further we continue. Yeah, these are all these anubhavas, dancing, rolling on the ground. Vajranath, how can these physical transformations enhance the taste for rasa and stahi bhav? Relishing rasa is actually an inner experience, whereas the anubhav symptoms find expressions externally. How then may they be considered a samagri bhav, ingredients rasa? Rasa is to be relished internally, but these are, external expressions. Anubhav symptoms are external. So how can they considered as samagri bhav? So that's a question. Gopal Guru Goswami, son, you have studied rhetoric and as such your mind is incisive. Incisive means it can deeply penetrate. I have never come across another person who has asked such probing questions. You need to probe, you need to deeply introspect. Though I have been studying the science of rasa from Srila Vakreshwar Pandit, I mentioned to this, I had similar questions. My Gurudev very kindly dissipated my doubts. And this esoteric science of Rasa Tattva was revealed to me in this way. When the jiva's internal activities on the transcendental Shuddha Sattva plane stimulate and nourish bhava, a variety of vichitra, wonderful spiritual feelings is spontaneously manifested. This transcendental variety infuses the heart with ineffable bliss. And bliss which is uncomparable, inconceivable in many different ways. Bliss causes vikar, physical transformations, which are exhibited as ecstatic symptoms known as udbhavasara, udbhasvara. Rupa Goswami will also use this same term, udbhasvara. When the heart is effervescent with emotion, the devotee is seen dancing. When his heart hums with joy, the devotee sings loud, and so on. These expression of spiritual emotions further nourish rasa. So, in the Shuddha Sattva platform, the bhava is nourished. And wonderful spiritual emotions are like a volcano inside, it is there. And that infuses the heart with such bliss. And this bliss causes vikar, physical transformations, which are called as actually anubhavas. And that is why the devotee is seen dancing. Now, I'll give you some understanding. Everyone likes to dance. In the outside world, people dance because their heart is empty and they want to feel happiness. So they dance so that I can internally, in the heart feel happy. But a bhava bhakta, internally, his heart is experiencing bliss. And that emotion externally manifests as a dance. So that is why there's a lot of difference between the dance of a devotee and the dance of the mortal. The dance of the devotee is completely not of this world. It is completely spiritual. So devotees, that's why even as sadhakas, maybe we don't have that bhava, but we should dance, because then we can experience a real, just glimpse of that spiritual taste of rasa. So we dance for Krishna's pleasure. We should do that. The exhibition of these ecstatic symptoms are not the main cause of ecstatic emotion, which is actually vibhav. Vibhav is the main cause, but anubhav is a follower and experienced as a supporter of vibhav. So you can understand how finely what is anubhav has been defined. It follows vibhav. That's why it is called anubhav. When anubhav is churned up in the heart by vibhav, splendid symptoms are displayed in the body. Thus, when the heart is flushed with vibhav and stahibhav, a second function is initiated within the heart in the form of anubhav, which then acts to further nourish the vibhav. Therefore, anubhav really is a positive and independent samagri bhav. Very philosophical and deep answer. I hope you are able to understand it. The ecstatic symptoms are divided into two divisions. Now, this anubhav is divided into two: sita, cooling, and shepana, propelling. Singings, yawning, and so on are called sita. Dancing and bodily contortions are called shepana. There are other anubhav symptoms, but they are extremely rare. For instance, utfalata, the entire body pulsating with excessive jubilation. This, people imitate, especially the sajas, like they start vibrating the whole body, but it's all bogus, and no jiva can experience this. And this will be mentioned here. Rakt udama, exudation of blood, Mahaprabhu is to experience, and astibi sandhi viyoga or karshana, dislocation or compression of the joints. The extraordinary symptoms like kurmakar, taking the form of a tortoise as a result of ecstatic emotion, that our most beloved Sri Nimai Chaitanya exhibited is neither possible nor applicable to sadhakas. And sadhakas means even bhava bhaktas, please remember. So Mahaprabhu in the Antilila will mention, it is mentioned that his body is to elongate and it is to become very long, and sometimes it is to, compress like a tortoise. So these are very, very extraordinary symptoms, and these are all anubhavas. These are all anubhavas. On the account of the elevated plane of discussion, the two seekers of knowledge pause to ponder over what they had just heard. Their esoteric quest was satiated, at least for some time. I hope your quest also is satiated, understanding Vibhav. Feeling gratitude for the benefactor, they spontaneously stretched forward and gathered the dust from the feet of Srila Gopal Guru Swami, applying it reverentially to their foreheads. Okay, now we come to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. I hope this background from the Jaiva Dharma will further help us to understand Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But before we begin, any questions anyone has up till now, what we have discussed? Any questions, any clarifications? One hand, two hands. Okay, only two questions we'll take. Anyone else has question? No, two questions. Yes. Chakra Rama Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, pranams. Prabhuji, I want to
Yes.
start from the basics of Anubhava. Anubhav is involuntary. We are not doing it intentionally, right?
No, Anubhav is voluntary.
It's voluntary.
There is love in the heart. For the mother has love for the heart, in the heart for the child. The child she sees, and that love which is there in the heart is voluntarily in the form of action of opening the arms to embrace the child. So these are voluntary.
Okay. Can you sum up a little bit again? I mean, in a simple language, what you said about Jaiva Dharma from Jaiva Dharma?
Did you okay, Jaiva Dharma. Okay.
On Jaiva Dharma.
Okay.
The
On
meaning
Jaiva
from the
Dharma.
Jaiva Dharma. Just
Yeah.
in a much more simpler. In
Don't worry
one two or
about
two
it.
lines.
Don't worry about it. When we go through Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu now, it will become more and more clear. Jaiva
Okay.
Dharma understanding, I know it is difficult, but still I'm presenting it because, I'm giving a padding over it by studying Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So hold on for some time, and at the end of the
Okay.
class, we will discuss the summary. Okay, Maya Narasimha Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. One basic doubt I'm getting, Prabhu, as we are progressing. Prabhuji, all these are samagri of rasa and etc. and all. So these are experienced by highly exalted devotees, and these cannot be manifested by our practice. So, if
Yeah, go ahead. What's your question? Suddenly,
how the study of these detailed analysis of rasa samagri will help a sadhaka to develop this, because this cannot be developed by just by knowing.
no, first thing you have to understand that our understanding is that, okay, this Stahi Bhav is on the Shuddha Sattva platform, that is Bhava. And only then the Samagri Bhav combined together give rise to Rasa. But I've been repeatedly mentioning this point that even the sadhakas, they have attraction to particular deity, Radha Gopinath or Radha Shamsundar in Vrindavan or Radha Madhav. He's our Vishaya Alamban. Ashraya is the devotee. You are attracted, you want to go to the Dham. You are attracted to hear a particular spiritual master and go for his class, for his yatras. You are attracted to a particular devotee. When you meet him, you embrace him. You are expressing anubhavas there. Yes or no?
Yeah, very minutely, I can say.
Yeah. So this has to be more and more nourished, and we have attraction to sense objects. So when we have to transform it to spiritual sense objects, uddipans, so that the more purification can happen. So we should see that as, sadhana for us, so that we can go deeper into devotion. And sadhana is meant to attain sadhya. So the more we, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is the Abhideya Shastra. So we have to study the Abhideya Shastra so that we can get the prayojan. So the more you understand the Abhideya Shastra, the more you understand about the Bhakti Tattva, Rasa Tattva. Yeah. What is that? Bhakti Tattva, Rasa Tattva. Sabhaya Shikaila Prabhu Bhagavata Siddhant. Krishna Tattva Prant. Bhakti Tattva, Rasa Tattva, Krishna Tattva Prant. Prant means the topmost pinnacle. The summum bonum or the acme of it. Sabha Prabhu Shikaila Bhagavata Siddhant. Everything Mahaprabhu taught to Rupa Goswami based on the principles of Bhagavatam. So it is meant for our study as Abhideya, as sadhakas. So the more we understand Abhideya, the more closer we'll go to Prayojan, Sadhya Bhakti. So that's why we need to know it. And we will be able to express ourselves, express the emotions in the heart, and it leads to a deeper level of maturity in our Krishna consciousness and in our relationship with devotees and the Lord. So it's a very important science. I
Yes.
hope it makes sense, right?
It's very inspiring, Prabhu, your answer. It's Abhideya Shastra and it is a part of our study. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes. Okay. So yes, now we'll begin now the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu verse by verse. Oh, I had to finish a lot of syllabus, but okay, it's important. Okay, now Rupa Goswami, this is the southern section 2. This is Anubhav. Vibhav was 1 in the first verse. Anubhavastu chittasta bhavananam avabodhaka te bahir vikriya prayah prokta udbhasvarakyaya. So this is the definition, and Bhaktivinoda Thakur spoke about it. Anubhavas refers to those things, Anubhavastu, which express avabodhaka. Now, bodhaka means bodhi. There is a use of intelligence. The bhava situated within the heart, chittasta bhavanana, which are expressed. They are predominantly, te praya, external transformations, bhaivika, vikriya, and are thus called udbhasvara. Prokta udbhasvara akyaya, shining in the body. So this is the definition also similarly what Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave in Jai Dharma. And what are those external? Next verse 6. Nityam viluttitam geetam roshanam tanumotanam unkaro jrimbanam swasa bhuma lokanapekshita lalashavo attahasascha grunahu hikkadayo picha. External transformations known as anubhavas are actions such as dancing, rolling in the ground, singing, shouting, stretching the body, bellowing, yawning, breathing heavily, disregarding others, drooling, laughing loudly, whirling around, and hiccups. And please remember, even a new person who might come to the temple might little bit experience these, especially in our Krishna Balaram Vrindavan temple, the new devotees come, they see the kirtan and they start dancing and jumping, So that is the potency of the dham and the deities. And the devotees also dance in the kirtan. So these are all anubhavas. Verse 2:112 has already described anubhavas with the phrase mitadi, smiling and other items. So in Vibhav it was discussed. Thus smiling should be understood to be included in the list of this verse. So there is smiling also, which is elaborated in the word adi of that previous. So when the lover has love for the beloved, when the lover sees the beloved, his heart, there is an emotion, and that emotion comes in the form of a smile on the face. So that is Vibhav. That is Anubhav. So in Vibhav also it was mentioned Smitade. So Smitade is also included in Anubhav. That's the point he's saying. Prabhupada. Symptoms of ecstatic love. The bodily symptoms manifested by a devotee in expressing ecstatic love for Krishna is called Anubhav. So this is how Prabhupada defines. Practical examples, again, Prabhupada gives the same thing, so I'll not read it. When there is an extraordinary excess of ecstatic love with all these bodily symptoms manifested, one feels relieved transcendently. Okay, text 3. If you have any questions, you are free to raise your hands. Te sita shepanas yatharthakhya dvitodita sitha sur gita jimbadya Nityadya Shepana Bidha. Anubhavas are of two types with suitable names. Yatha Artha Akya Dvitodita of Sita, Tesita, meaning cool, with the lack of bodily movements, and Shepana, Shepanas Cheti, meaning throwing about. Shepan means throwing, Vikshep. Prakshepatmika Shakti and Avarnatu. Prakshep means throwing potency. So there is throwing around, you throw the body in the kirtan. Sometimes devotees push each other in the kirtan, right? So there is throwing, So Sita is a lack of bodily movement involving distinct bodily movements. Sita includes singing, yawning, breathing heavily, disregarding others, drooling, and smiling. So Smita is there. Shepana includes dancing, rolling in the ground, shouting, stretching the body, bellowing, laughing loudly, whirling around, and having hiccups. So this is the difference. So there is Shepana and there is Sita, throwing and cooling. And these are in Shepana, these are in Sita. I hope this is very clear. Okay, Jiva Goswami. The phrase Gita Drimbadya means singing, yawning, and the items immediately following, namely breathing heavily, disregard, and drooling. Smiling from verse 212 was also included in the Sita Anubhavas. So in the Vibhav section, smiling was mentioned, so that is also included. The definition of attahas, laughing loudly, is given in the commentary on verse 18. So we'll wait for that. It involves bodily movements as well as laughing. It would seem that shouting, bellowing, and hiccups would also involve more bodily movements than usual as Shepan Anubhavs. I hope this is clear. Prabhupada, again, in his summary study, says that there are two parts, Sita and Shepana. What is Shepana? He mentions. Now, each one, Rupa Goswami gives a scriptural reference. Tatra Nrityam Yata. Murli Kurli Sudakiram Hari Vaktendrumavakshakampitah Ganenena Saganesha Dindima Dhvanibhistandavam Ashrito Haraha. Dancing, seeing the moon-like face of Hari. Hari Vaktra Indum Aveksha, radiating sweetness as he practiced his flute playing. Murli Kurli Sudha Kiram. Lord Shiva, Haraha, began to tremble, Kampita, and began to dance Tandavam in the sky, Ganane, along with Ganesh, Sir Ganesha, to the rhythm of his drum. Dindima Dvanibhis. So in the Ras Leela, when Krishna started playing the flute and seeing the moon-like face of Hari, Shiva went into ecstasy, started trembling, dancing. So these are all Anubhavas. The word Murli means the sound of flute. Kurli means practice. Abhyasa Kurli Yogya. That is Amar Kosha says. Kurli means Abhyasa or practice. And Prabhupada says, while watching the rasa dance performed by Lord Krishna and the gopis, Lord Shiva beheld the beautiful face of Krishna and immediately began to dance and beat upon his small dindima drum. Lord Shiva was dancing in ecstasy. His eldest son Ganesha joined him. Okay, I hope it's clear. We are going into each of these Anubhavas, the scriptural reference. Any questions up till now? Any questions, any clarifications? Maya Narasimha Prabhuji, Veer Krishna Prabhuji. I'll just do one thing. I will just take 2-3 more verses and then at the end we will again take up the discussion. Hold on. Okay. Viluntitam Yatha Tritiye. Falling on the ground from the third canto. Kachit Buddha Swastya Anamivataste Shvapalkaputro Bhagavat Prapanna Yah Krishna Padankita Marg Pamsasvav Acheshtata Prema Vibhinna Dhairya. Falling on the ground, third canto. Please tell me whether Kachit Akrur, the son of Shvapalkaha, Shakalpaputro, is doing well. Swastyasti. He's a faultless soul. Anamiva, surrendered unto the personality of God. Bhagavat Prapanna. He once lost Acheshtata, his mental equilibrium, Dhairya, due to his ecstasy of transcendental love. Prema Vibhinna. And fell down on the dust of the road. Marga Pamsisu, which was marked with the footprints of Lord Krishna. Yah Krishna Pad Ankita. So here, Vidura has met Uddhava and is asking, how is Krishna doing? How the Yadus are doing? How is Akrura doing? And while asking about Akrura, he's a faultless. He's completely surrendered. And once when Akrura was sent by Krishna to, Vrindavan to get Krishna and Balaram, Kamsa told him. So as he was, the whole pastime of how Akrura enters Vrindavan is a whole series. So when Akrura entered the presence of Vrindavan and suddenly saw the footprints of Krishna, he just jumped from his chariot. So these are Anubhavas. So falling on the ground. Another example, Yathava. Nananuragena tavava sanghi Panasragamodam avapya matta Vrajangane sa kantine lundanti gatram sugatri vranayanchakarara. O Krishna, because of her new attraction for you, Nava Anuragena Tava, Radha is not in control of her limbs. Avasangi, on smelling the fragrance of your forest garland, Vanasraga Amodam Avapya became intoxicated. Matta, she has fallen on the hard ground of Raja. Rajangane sa Kantine Lutanti and injured her beautiful body. Gatram Sugatri Rajan Chakara. Rajan Chakara is equivalent to Rajavat Chakara. I don't know what this all means because one has to know Sanskrit. Again, this is a Sanskrit rule. We'll leave this. Rolling on the ground. In the third canto, first chapter, verse 32 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Vidura inquires from Uddhava, my dear friend, is Akrura in an auspicious condition? Not only he is a learned scholar in Silas, but is also a devotee of Lord Krishna. He has such ecstatic love for Krishna that I have seen him rolling upon Krishna's footprints in the dust as if bereft of all sense. Similarly, one gopi gave a message to Krishna that Radharani, because of her separation from him and because of her enchantment with the aroma of his flower garlands, was rolling on the ground, thereby bruising her soft body. So both the examples Prabhupada gives together. Geetam yatha ragadambara karambita cheta kurvanti tavanavam gunaganam golokendra kurata jalatam sa radhikadya drishadam suridham cha. Moon of Gokul, Gokulendra, today Adya, Radhika, Radha, whose mind, Cheta, is possessed by the beauty of Sri Raga, or a zeal of love. Raga Dambara Karambita is singing a new song about you. Kurvati Tava Navam Guna Ganam. Her friends, Suridhamcha, have become like stones. Drishadham, and the stones have melted. Kuruta Jalatam, so the friends have become stone, the stones have melted. Singing the glory of Krishna through a song. So Geetam is this example. Raga here means either the melodic ragas such as Sri Raga or simply Anuraga, meaning love. Suradam means her friends. Those friends become paralyzed, Jadatam, and stones, Drishatam, become liquid like water, Jalatam. Okay, this is regarding Sanskrit. Again, Prabhupada mentions the same thing in his purport. So I'll not go into that. Okay, so now I will take up questions up till now, what we have discussed. Any questions, any clarifications? One hand has been raised. Yes, Veer Krishna Prabhu also has a question. Let me first. Yes, Maya Narasimha Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, you mentioned two categories, Sita and Kshepana.
Hmm.
In Sita, you mentioned that there is not much bodily movement, like simply smiling or breathing heavily, things like that. And Kshepana, you talk about
Throwing.
throwing oneself.
Hmm.
So can we say that Kshepana is more intense form of Anubhav compared to Sita? Or is there is no such discrimination in that?
Well, I have not come across any such explanation about that Sita is not so intense and Shepana is intense. The only thing what Jaiva Dharma mentions is there are other Anubhavas which cannot be manifested in a Jiva, but Mahaprabhu exhibits and Srimati Radharani exhibits. But definitely there are these two categories, but whether the second category is more intense than the first, well, I'm not so sure. I cannot say anything about it. As long as I also, I've not come across it, anything, and maybe I'll have to further ask some very senior devotees like Banu Maharaj and try to find out whether there is any mention about this thing. Well, you can, without having any bhava, of course, there is love, in the dormant found in practicing sadhana also, and you might throw yourself in the kirtan and dance ecstatically and all. But it doesn't mean that, you're having that bhava within also. You might dance and somebody might softly sing, but he might be deeply experiencing deep emotions in the heart also. So you cannot say that, sometimes. Very advanced devotees might not exhibit any, uh, of these, throwing Shepana, but they might be very sober and very deep, and they might be just in their singing, expressing those emotions, what they are there in the heart. But that can have a tremendous impact on the, audience, devotees who are sitting. They might start experiencing it because there is, that emotion is there in them, Sita. So we cannot really say like that. At least for now, I can say that. Is it okay?
Prabhu, based on your last point and also the last slide which you mentioned, when Srimati Radharani was singing out of ecstasy, by hearing her singing, others also fainted. They went into
Yes.
absorption. So
Pardon?
does it mean that somebody else, other devotees' ecstasy can also act as a uddipan for other devotee to get absorbed in Krishna?
Yes, the other devotees, the other devotees also come as Udipan. We have already studied in Udipan that things related to Krishna and the devotee is also there. So his ecstasy, what he's experiencing, and that exudes from his body, and one can faintly experience again based on his patrata. His patrata, what is this patra? And everyone will experience differently based on, the receptivity will differ based on their surrender, based on their faith, based on so many other factors are there. But they can experience. If somebody is very more offensive, inflicted with a lot of offenses, he might not experience anything. Others might, go into real ecstasy and experience certain emotions, coming in touch with the contact with the pure Shuddha Bhakta. Is it okay? Veer Krishna Prabhuji. Sorry, extremely sorry. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, there was mention of Anubhava hiccups. What is hiccups? I did not get this.
When you're eating, you get anubhavas. That's because of eating, not because of Krishna put in the heart. That's because of, so those are hiccups, the belch or the, so these are happening from the Shuddha Sattva platform and they manifest through the prana in the body. Whereas the hiccups which we get while taking food, or suddenly we swallow and there's a block, that is because of the material transformation. So there's a difference between the two. But the hiccups somebody might be getting while chanting in ecstasy might be manifesting from the deeper emotions of the chitta. That's the difference.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Anyone else
Hare
has?
Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam.
Yes. Yes.
Prabhuji, just once again, summarize Anubhava in Jaiva Dharma.
Yes.
Simple language.
I was about to do that. I remembered your request. Okay. So we'll summarize the whole discussion what we had today. We had already got a little understanding of the concept of rasa, how different bhavas combine to give rasa. One prominent bhav is sthayi bhav. There is vibhav, anubhav, satviki bhav, sanchari bhav, and sthayi bhav. Yeah, sthayi bhav combines with these four samagri bhavs. So vibhav is that which stimulates the sthayi, it becomes the cause of ecstasy. There is sthayi bhav. Vibhav is, that which causes the or stimulates the sthayi bhav. And vibhav has these two components, alamban and udipan. Within alamban there is vishaya alamban and ashraya alamban. Anubhav is the subsequent ecstasy that follows, on with the vibhav. That follows is anubhav. I mentioned Mother Yashoda sees Krishna. For him, she is the Krishna is the object of love, Vishaya, and she is the subject, abode of love. And seeing that, there is experience of Vatsalya Bhav. And that Bhava, when she voluntarily opens her arms, that expression, external vikars, transformation, is Anubhav. So in the Jaiva Dharma discussion, I'll just directly go, that basically what Gopal Guru Goswami is saying, Rati Chansa Bhava that is latent in the chit, heart and consciousness of the sadhaka. And the emotions that are manifest externally in response to the awakened bhava is called Anubhava. Although these Anubhavas are externally expressed, they seem to have similarity to Vikar, Ashtasattvic Vikars. But in truth, they are what? Internal emotions in response to Bhava within the heart of the sadhaka. These are, they are in response to the Bhava. These are internal emotions which are manifested. And they are what? These are the Nritya and all these, we have seen that. And then this is this question, relishing rasa is an inner experience, whereas anubhavas are manifested externally, external expressions. One might, sometimes show a lot of external love, by embracing and, all that. But internally, he might not have love. In external dealings, you can see, air hostess smile when you come in, but that smile is a paid smile. And it's very difficult to detect for your kind information. But when a pure devotee smiles, that smile does not go to the mind, but it enters the soul. And it can ignite the devotion which is there in the soul. The smile of artificial smile can agitate the mind and put us more in Maya. So smile can take you in Maya. Smile can take you out of Maya. Some of this, see, these are the expressions. So how then it is considered a samagri bhav? How is anubhav separate from, the sattviki bhav? So then it's a very deep question, Goswami says, and I've learned this from Vakrish Pandit and I will answer. So when the jiva is in the Shuddha Sattva plane, it stimulates and nourishes the sthayi bhav. So there are spiritual emotions which are spontaneously manifested. And these spiritual emotions in the heart cause bliss in different ways. And this bliss causes vikar. which is called as ecstatic symptoms, or Udbhaswara, which is also Anubhava. And when the heart is effervescent with emotion, the devotee is seen dancing, his heart jumps with humps with joy, he sings loudly, and these expressions of spiritual movement further nourish rasa. The exhibition of these ecstatic symptoms is not the main cause of ecstatic emotions, which is actually vibhav. So the main cause of that stahi bhav getting activated is vibhav. But anubhav is what? The follower. Anubhav is the follower and experienced as the supporter of vibhav. So this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur has to say about Anubhav. And then we saw the definition, this exact definition, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning in paraphrasing, here is there in the definition. And then all these Anubhavas are there. And there are these two categories, Sita and Shepana. We saw Shepana is throwing, Sita is cooling. And then we looked into few of the Anubhavas. That is, first is dancing. Then it is falling on the ground. That is Akrura. Another example. And then we saw Geetam. So in the next class, we will continue our discussion and further go into the scriptural reference for each of these Anubhava scriptural references. Okay, I'll stop here. Any questions, any clarifications you have? Okay, so thank you very much. Shri Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Srila Rupa Goswami Pad ki jai. Hare Krishna.